Chapter 27. Rachel. The dust beast dropped me. I hit the road. I hit it hard. The concrete cracked and popped open, revealing gravel beneath. Flash. I was flying. I was a bird. An eagle. Going to see Tobias. Going to tell him I was going to... To what? Something. Birds. Sudden, out of nowhere, swarming around me, attacking... In front, the side, turn, and dive to get away. A tree. Wham. What? What did it mean? Tobias. I had remembered a name. I watched the dust beast reform to go after a truck that was careening backwards up the street, careening straight into a parked car. Then, a tiger. No, not quite a tiger. Half human, half tiger. A freak. It climbed into the back of the truck. And someone else was left behind. A girl. Short. Wearing overalls. Flash. The construction site. The one where the alien had landed. She was there. She was there. I knew this girl. But was she a friend? Or one of them? One of the enemies? Rachel, the girl yelled. Are you okay? Rachel. Yes. What the dear scorpion alien had called me at the burning shack. Rachel. Yes, that was my name. Yes, it was my name. Flash. A woman saying, Rachel, I know you don't like lima beans. Eat them anyway. They're good for you. Flash. A girl, younger than me, saying, Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. Everything is always about Rachel around here. Flash. A man's voice from nowhere. And now, next on the balance beam, Rachel. Yes, I remembered. I was Rachel. But who is this short girl calling me? And what was I? Rachel, can you hear me? Who are you? I asked. What do you mean, who am I? Who are you? I yelled in thought speak. Tell me. Tell me or I'll crush you. Rachel, it's me, Cassie. Cassie. Are you okay? No, I'm not. Are you my friend? Rachel, I've been your friend for years, the girl who called herself Cassie said. My memory, I don't remember. Cassie? What am I? The girl stared at me for a moment. I could see doubt in her eyes. She looked around at the street. The first cops had taken off after the wild pickup truck, but more sirens were blaring, coming closer and closer. You're human, Rachel. No. Well, yes, I know. But I'm something else, too. Look at me. How can I do this? What am I? Cassie met my gaze, human to elephant. I guess it seemed bizarre to the frightened, sleepy people who were peeking out of their windows. You're an Animorph, Rachel. An Animorph. And I guess something has happened to you to mess up your memory? But right now, my friend, you have to trust me. You have to trust me. Animorph, that word from my dream. Trust her? Trust this girl who called herself Cassie and said she was my friend? I looked down at her through elephant eyes. Could I trust her? How could I know? How could I be sure? Cassie, I said. Yes? Tell me what to do. Chapter 28. Axe. The Yeerks put me in a box. Not a cage. A rammonite box with seamless walls on all sides. I was in that box for a time that spanned many Earth hours, and I felt despair. The special despair that comes from dishonor. Visser 3 killed my brother. By the laws and customs of my people, I was supposed to avenge that murder. I was obligated to kill Visser 3 if I ever had the chance. I had just been face to face with him, and I had done nothing. Yes, I had been surrounded by Hork-Bajir, and because I was young and not yet a full-fledged Andalite warrior, I could say that the full burden of revenge had not yet fallen on me. But it was a bitter feeling. A bitter, terrible feeling, knowing that I had been face to face with Visser 3 and I had not struck. Had I missed my one chance for revenge? In my mind, I pictured the scene again. I had been surrounded by Hork-Bajir, but with Visser 3 himself within range of my tail. Could I have struck? Could I have hit him before the Hork-Bajir fired and disintegrated me? No. Logic said no. But I felt a sick, twisting doubt inside me. Dishonor is a terrible thing. Worse than death for an Andalite warrior. Suddenly, one wall of my cage shimmered and became transparent. Ramonite is a metal that can stretch open or be made clear or opaque by a molecular realignment. I could see the room beyond my cage, the bridge of Visser 3's blade ship. The Visser stood on a raised platform in the center of a triangular room. Aligned on 3 sides of the bridge were various workstations, manned by Taxxons and human controllers. Taxxons are worm-like creatures. They have rows of needle-sharp legs, similar to an earth centipede. They hold the upper third of their bodies erect, and along the upper body, the rows of legs become pairs of weak but agile arms. A series of globular red eyes surround the top and end of the worm. And at the very top is always an open, circular mouth. The Hork-Bajir were a race of peace-loving creatures enslaved by the Yeerks. But the Taxxons chose to ally themselves with the Yeerks. Each Taxxon now has a Yeerk inside its vile head, adding Yeerk intelligence to the Taxxon's own deep evil. Taxxons usually handle the more subtle work. Hork-Bajir are used as soldiers. The Yeerk Empire was only just beginning to integrate its new human slaves into the Empire. In the air before Visser 3 was a hologram. It was obviously being shot from a great distance. The scene was distorted and light enhanced, which gave it an eerie, dreamlike quality. I thought you might enjoy watching this, Visser 3 said to me. We were lucky to get a visual lock. My Valik is closing in on another of your band. Soon you'll have company. The hologram shimmered and wavered, but I could see the Valik tearing through the trees in a forest, and then a sudden flash of orange and black, a tiger. Prince Jake. There are some magnificent animals on this planet, Visser 3 said. I'll have to acquire one of those. Look how it moves. But it's wearing out. It's a fast killer. It can't handle the long battle. Suddenly, the tiger that was Jake shot up a tree. The Valik was eating its way up the tree. Prince Jake leapt into the air. I could just barely see the tiger hit the ground. It bared its teeth, but was too tired to run any more. In a second, it would be over. The Valik would envelop the tiger and bring it to Visser 3. Just then, the Valik hesitated. Visser 3 stiffened. The Valik disintegrated and, like a tornado, swept away at extreme speed. What is happening? Visser 3 cried. Every Taxxon, Hork-Bajir, and human controller on the bridge flinched. One of the human controllers stepped forward timidly. Visser, the Valik must have sensed another morph. Why doesn't it bring me this one first? Visser, as you know, our knowledge of this Valik is not perfect. I can only speculate. Suddenly, Visser 3 stabbed his tail at the cowering controller. The blade pressed against the human's throat. Speculate quickly, Visser 3 said. Visser, it feeds on energy. It senses energy. We have made it sensitive to the energy field created during morphing. But this bandit, this tiger creature, has stopped morphing, so the attraction has weakened. The Valik will still capture this tiger, only some other morph energy field must have been created. The Valik senses this new field and goes after the new energy source. Visser 3 withdrew his tail from the man's neck. The human controller collapsed to his knees, sweating and shaking. Launch both bug fighters, Visser 3 said. Keep a visual lock on the Valik. The Taxxons spoke in their strange tongue. Faster than the eye could follow, Visser 3 lashed out with his Andalite tail. Scree! The Taxxon screamed. The Taxxon was sliced open, its insides sloshed out all over the floor. Taxon collapsed in a heap. This creature says it's difficult to keep a visual lock on the Valik. Does anyone else think it is difficult to follow my orders? No one did. Clean up this incompetent filth. Launch the bug fighters. Keep a visual lock on the Valik. All of this was said very calmly. 2 Taxons rushed forward and began to eat their fellow Taxon. The others on the bridge all paid very close attention to their work. Very, very close attention. I guess it isn't going too well for you, Visser, I sneered. He turned his main eyes on me, while his stalk eyes swept the room, looking for any slackness on the part of his creatures. Yes, your Andalite brothers have found a weakness in my Valik, Mr. 3 said. They are playing games, morphing here, morphing there, whipping it from place to place. But you forget, my little Andalite friend. I inhabit an Andalite body with full morphing powers. I know your weaknesses, too. They can't play this game for long, and I am about to add to their troubles. He turned all eyes to me in a leering, deadly gaze. I would like to take them alive for my own reasons, but if I can't, I will make do with their lifeless bodies. Chapter 29. Marco. Crunch! Screech! Bam! Wham! Bump! Squeal! Out of the trees I roared, in what was left of the pickup truck. I plowed up through a ditch and onto the road, kicking up dirt and mud and gravel. It was a dark, narrow road that ran behind the housing development. I'd come full circle. I don't care what anyone says. I drove okay. Or at least I was getting better. I was running into things less, anyway. I began to morph, but I didn't want to give up on the truck. After all, I was supposed to get it back out to Cassie's farm when we were done with it. So I chose the one morph I had in my arsenal that could drive. Time for the monkey suit, I muttered as I barreled down the road, hitting only the occasional mailbox. I focused. I concentrated as well as I could. Fortunately, this was a morph I had done before. I was familiar with it. But still, that first sensation of my shoulders doubling in size, tripling, quadrupling, it was a rush. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm kind of short. I'm kind of small. But when I do this morph, I'm so massively powerful, it's incredible. In this morph, I have lifted guys up and thrown them in the air. In this morph, I have punched Hork-Bajir, and they stayed punched. In this morph, I can kick the butts of the entire Dallas Cowboys all at once. 400 pounds, give or take a few. But not 400 pounds of fat. No, I was becoming 400 pounds of hardcore, bad as bad can be, don't even look cross-eyed at me, shoulders like a cement truck, neck like a fire hydrant, fists like sledgehammers, dominant male silverback gorilla. Sweet, gentle animals. Unless you insist on making them mad. At which point, they are capable of ripping up a small tree by the roots and playing baseball, with you as the ball. I glanced in the rearview mirror. My eyes had become little gorilla eyes. My mouth was puffing out and turning dark. And I was scared. See, as tough as my gorilla might be, I was nothing to that dust monster. I wasn't morphing the gorilla to fight that thing. I was morphing the gorilla to draw him on. I was bait. I was the bait, and the creature was the shark. And that fact did not make me happy. I heard the roar of a tornado behind me. I pressed my growing foot down on the accelerator.